brother. The NWO is taking over the world right here at WCW Hog Wild 1996. Alright, so hello, this is Mr. Hornby 83, having a little bit of fun with the belt. And I am here with my review of WCW Hog Wild 1996. This was the show where Hulk Hogan got the title and infamously spray painted the belt. I'm not going to spray paint my belt. I'll just try to find the NWO versions somewhere down the line. Keeping my belt the way it is. But anyway, yeah. After the great show they had with Bash at the Beach 96, would Hog Wild and Sturgis be able to live up to what Bash at the Beach 96 did? And I wouldn't say it held up. I wouldn't say it, did as well as Bash at the Beach 96, but it still was a pretty good pay-per-view. So let's get this review kicked off. First of all, it started out with Rey Mysterio defending the Cruiserweight title against the Ultimate Dragon. Their first ever encounter, apparently, supposedly, ever in the history of, them two wrestling. And this was a really good match. Like I said, it's for the Cruiserweight Championship. One thing I did notice, though, there was a lot of botches by Rey Mysterio and the Ultimate Dragon in this match, but it really didn't affect the match too much. But you could tell all the botches, and it took like 4 or 5 Frankensteiners for Rey Mysterio to finally defeat Ultimate Dragon, one being off the top rope. It was kind of like Rey Mysterio did the Frankensteiner the way the Young Bucks do the super kick right now. But yeah, pretty good match though. Rey Mysterio retains the Cruiserweight title and continues on to be the Cruiserweight champion. Next up was A-Train versus Scott Flash Norton. Now, this match started because Scott Flash Norton turned on A-Train, and I think WCW had plans to boost A-Train, but not Scott Norton, but they ended up, I think Scott Norton ended up getting a better deal at that end, but this match was just a typical big guy versus big guy match. Scott Norton won with an armbar on A-Train because he was like taped up and injured because he got in the Big Show or the Giant's face earlier in the night. So anyway, Scott Norton wins and moves on to bigger and better things. Next up was Medusa versus Bull Makana. Bull Makana. And this match was the winner would get to bust the other's motorcycle or motorbike or whatever. And this one had a screwy ending to it. Bull Makana, I think Bull Makana put Medusa in the German suplex or vice versa. And what it looked like, both competitors' shoulders were down, but they did declare Medusa the winner. Pretty much, it wasn't really a big deal match anyway, but then they try to destroy Medusa's motorcycle, but she takes the hammer away from Sonny Onu, and she destroys Bull Makana's. It was an alright match. The only problem is these two have had better matches in their feud over the years, and this one wasn't one of their best. So yeah, that was pretty much it for that. What was the next match? Let's see. Jesus. Oh yeah, Dean Malenko versus Chris Benoit. This was, I guess, just thrown on there. I think what happened was I said that Ric Flair took on, I thought Ric Flair took on Dean Malenko at this pay-per-view, but that wasn't the case at all. In fact, I think it was the following year that them two wrestled. But this match was probably the best match of the night. Benoit and Malenko went at it, putting all their, best effort, best holds, and all that stuff on each other. Now, this match had 2 screwy finishes. It ended in a draw. Then it ended in another draw. Then they went to a second overtime where, Malenko had the Texas Cloverleaf on Benoit, but Woman got involved in the match. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Benoit came to the ring with Woman and Elizabeth at his side. Now, apparently the story was that Malenko was going to do a favor for the Dungeon of Doom and the Taskmaster by wiping Benoit out, because this was the big start of the Horsemen Dungeon of Doom rivalry. It had been building up for half the year. It finally was going to come full on circle right here at this pay-per-view. So, I think it mainly started first with Pillman and Taskmaster. Then it shifted to Benoit and Taskmaster, and a lot of it had to do with Woman, because I believe at the time in real life, Woman was with Kevin Sullivan, but then her and Benoit started seeing each other, and they were, I think, built it behind that. And so, pretty much, that's what it was. Alright, next up was a interview with the Giant, Jimmy Hart. I think the interview was earlier in the show, but I'll just talk about it right now. Now, the Giant has been built up as this bad heel who hated Hulk Hogan, and now that Hogan was bad, Giant's flipped the face. And Giant apparently now was a Hulkamaniac when he was a kid, but then when Hogan told the fans to screw it, or the fans could stick it at Bash at the Beach, that brought back memories of the pain Hulk Hogan brought the Giant. I don't get it. It was just a dumb storyline. But anyway, so the Giant cut this promo about how, Hulk Hogan turned his back on all his Hulkamaniacs, blah, 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 blah. But, it was just dumb. The interview was dumb. Alright, next up was the WCW Tag Team title match between the Steiners and the Harlem Heat. Now, these guys always have good matches against each other. This was no different. They had a pretty good match. Now, there was a lot of shenanigans with interference from not only Sensational Sherry, or as Harlem Heat was calling her, Sister Sherry, but there was also interference by Colonel Rob Parker, who ended up hitting Scott Steiner in the back of the head with his cane, while Sherry had the referee distracted, and Rick Steiner was beating up Stevie Ray on the outside, because Booker T's the one that got the pin in the match. But yeah, pretty good match. I just think the shenanigans, of course, that's what they had, because Harlem Heat had Sherry and, Colonel Rob Parker in their corner. They eventually did get rid of Rob Parker, and Sherry became their manager for a while, until I think she finally retired or whatever. I believe it was mid-97 she kind of retired. Next up was Eddie Guerrero versus Ric Flair for the WCW US title. They were also building up, Ric Flair is going to be facing Hulk Hogan at the Clash of Champions on the 15th of August. So, pretty much, I guess Flair was going to retain the U.S. title, because there was no way they were going to let Flair beat Hogan for the title right after he just won it at Hog Wild. But, I gotta say, I noticed this too. A lot of the crowd, but they were mostly biker people in that, a lot of them were behind most of the bad guys or / anti-heroes. And this was no different. Well, they were behind Eddie and Rick, because this was another great match as well. Ric Flair and Eddie Guerrero for the U.S. title. Only problem was too much interference from Woman and Elizabeth and all that. And it ended with Ric Flair having to figure four on Eddie Guerrero, and then he's taking Woman's hands from underneath the ropes, and Eddie lays out like this and gets the pin for 1, 2, 3. But other than that, this match was a really good match. I really enjoyed it. And, they just put a lot of good matches on this show. Next up was the Outsiders versus Sting and Luger. This, storyline was building up from the moment Sting got in Scott Hall's face, smacked him in the face. It was been building for a while. Luger got taken out at Bash at the Beach, so he wanted a chance to get revenge on them for attacking WCW, which pretty much was what they did, and there was also a lot of speculation on the fourth member of the NWO during this show, which we really didn't get, I don't think, until like 2 or 3 weeks after Hog Wild. But they were speculating there was more NWO members and this and that, but this also began the heel turn and the paid-off referee angle with Nick Patrick being in the pocket of the NWO, Hogan, Hall, and Nash. And there was a point in the match where Luger went to rack Hall, or something happened where Luger accidentally ran in, or I think Hall shoved Luger into Nick Patrick. Then he put Hall in the torture rack while Sting had Nash and the Scorpion outside. And Nick Patrick, acting like his eyes still hurting, jams the knee of Lex Luger and then makes a really fast 3 count. And the announcers really didn't play it up too much until after the match and the next night on Nitro. But other than that, they really didn't play it up too much. At the time, they thought, it was inverted by Patrick because of his eye and blah, blah, blah. But then, I don't know. They wanted you to believe that Patrick wasn't in the pockets of the NWO, but it became pretty obvious by, like, the second night this thing went down. So, the Outsiders win, thanks to help from Nick Patrick, costing Luger and Sting the match. Then, next night on Nitro, they said something about it, and then the same thing happened again, because they challenged the Outsiders on Nitro. Sting went for a Stinger Splash. Patrick pulled Hall out of the way. But, yeah. So now to the main event, which was the Giant representing Dungeon of Doom and WCW for the WCW Heavyweight Championship of the World. This match was decent, even though Hogan was supposed to be the heel and he was getting more cheers than the Giant. Like, it was kind of weird. Even after Hogan, cheated to win and Hogan was acting cowardly throughout the match. He's like running outside the ring. He almost left because he was afraid the Giant was going to beat the crap out of him. But Hogan, the fans were still behind Hogan. It was weird, but Then the referee gets knocked out. Oh, Randy Anderson is referee for this match. So Randy Anderson gets knocked down. The Outsiders come in. They're trying to hit, the Giant with the megaphone, but Giant chokeslams Hall, then chokeslams Nash. Hogan grabs this very big, beautiful title, smashes Giant over the head with it, gets the 1, 2, 3, and pretty much wins the match. And afterwards, also that day was Hulk Hogan's birthday, so Hulk Hogan's birthday is August 10th. But anyway, it was Hulk Hogan's birthday. He came out, or the Booty Man came out in the NWO collars. They all were like, look, the Booty Man already sold his soul, and prior to that, Booty Man had turned on Hogan. But they didn't mention that when Hogan and Nash and Hall were beating the crap out of Booty Man. He's like, if I could do this to my best friend, what do you think I'll do to you, Flair? What do you think I'll do to you? And that's pretty much how the pay-per-view ends. Like I said, they spray paint the belt. They beat the crap out of the Booty Man. And it ends pretty good. I mean, overall, I give this pay-per-view, I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. I liked Bash at the Beach a lot better. There were some matches on here I really didn't care for. One of the main weaknesses was Ice Train versus Scott Flash Norton. That match was a nothing match. And the Medusa match was not that good either. Harlem Heat Steiners match was pretty decent. Hogan Giant is pretty much typically a Hogan versus Big Man match, pretty much. But yeah, overall, still a pretty good show. Like I said, 3.5 out of 5. I was gonna give it a 3, but I decided to give it 3.5 because there's only 2 really bad matches. I mean, the Cruiserweight title match was really good, except for all the botches. The first Benoit Malenko, aside from the wonky booking of the match, was pretty good. And Flair and Eddie Guerrero was a really good match as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. Tune in Thursday when I do my problems with the GTA series videos, or video. The reason why I didn't do it last week is because I was doing a San Andreas simulcast, and I didn't want to have to go back-to-back nights with putting GTA content out there on YouTube, so I just decided I'll save that one for this week. Now next up, I will be doing a SummerSlam review next Tuesday. I'll let you know on the Facebook Live Monday. I don't know if I'm going to do one tomorrow or not, unless I go somewhere and I'm hunting or something, but I probably won't be. So I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.